Well, Edmonton trio Scenic Route to Alaska has been delighting audiences in Alberta and far beyond for well over a decade with their emotional, cathartic tunes. They just recorded and released their 7th album, the self-produced Lasts Forever. Bassist Murray Wood, drummer Shea and singer-guitarist Trevor Mann are also no strangers to the road, including a show they've got coming up at Beau's in Red Deer tonight. Not to mention they also do double duty as three-quarters of another of CKUA's favorites, featuring no less than Colleen Brown, Major Love. I've got all 3 of Scenic Route to Alaska with me this afternoon. How are you doing, boys?
Good. Nice to hear from you, Joe.
You too, Shea.
Good to be here, Joe. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Trevor.
Hi, Joe.
Murray. Brevity's the soul of wit, and that's what we... You'd have to think back quite a few years, but to me this feels like a full circle moment. You may recall that when I was at Nate Radio School back in 2011 or around then, I interviewed you, and I think it was, if not the very first radio interview for both parties, it was darn close, because this is actually my first interview as permanent co-host of On the Rise here on CKUA. I knew I had to speak to you as long as you were on the charts. I'm delighted to say that you are still performing extremely well with CKUA's listeners and DJs, so thanks for making this a special moment for me, fellas. Where do you feel you're at in your lives as people and as a band, and how do we hear that reflected in the new album?
I think, as you alluded to, our first interview with you in 2011 was the first EP that we'd ever put out. So 7 records later, we've gotten a little bit road-worn, but more so, I think we've really garnered a bit of an education just from making all those other records in the past. So that's what kind of gave us the confidence to self-produce this one. Although we're all 10 years or 12 years older than when we put out that first record, I still feel young at heart, and the music still keeps me invigorated. We have a new dad in the band, first dad in the band.
That's a big change.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of feels like a reset coming out of the pandemic, to be honest. We kind of were super road-worn for probably 8 to 9 years there, and we were kind of feeling it. Our limbs were hurting, and our brains were mush. And then the pandemic happened. So, it was a bit of a reset for us, and it's taken a number of years to kind of feel any kind of normalcy back playing shows. It's helped so much that just feeling so reinvigorated with this new album and seeing the fans out again.
So the recording experience, doing this for the first time, a self-produced effort, the CKUA community, I think, is going to be delighted by this tidbit, the fact that it was largely recorded at Studio Bell, CKUA South headquarters. What was it like? I mean, from the environment to being more on your own, less of a safety net, how did it feel?
For myself, at least, it was awesome. I got to use some really fun old gear, which kind of made me feel like a kid again. The opening track for the record, Call It a Coincidence, is one of Randy Bachman's old Strats played through one of Neil Young's old amps. So my 12-year-old self and current self was just through the moon. And we did put in a lot of time going before we went into the studio to kind of fine-tune the bed tracks. And I think we only spent 4 days.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And hammered out all of the bed tracks. I think, like I said, with making all the previous records, we had the confidence that we knew we could get it done. It was a very inspiring environment, and it also felt really comfortable. We had actually made the Major Love record, Live, Laugh, Major Love, which just came out. We made that at Studio Bell 2 years prior, so we weren't unfamiliar with the space at all. So we kind of just rolled in there as Scenic Route like we'd done it before, and it just felt like a really conducive place to rock out and feel safe.
This brings us to the mythical Jazz Cafe where you recorded the vocals there, Trevor. Tell us about that experience as well.
That's actually in Murray's basement. The Jazz Cafe comes from this old neon sign that Murray's dad found at the Antique Mall one time, and it's been with us through a bunch of iterations. It used to hang proudly in our band house, and we called the band house the Jazz Cafe. And I set up a little bit of gear, and it was the first time that I had engineered and recorded myself for anything other than just demo purposes. So that was also a great learning experience.
So we're hearing really the sound of the band. I'm noticed, of course, that there are a few sounds popping in and out beyond the guitar, bass, and drums and your vocals, Trevor. Who else are we hearing? Any guest appearances on the recording?
No. Oh, yeah, there's one guest appearance on our song New Year's Eve. There's a saxophone solo by Mitch Davis, which is the first time we've ever kind of thrown a curveball at people, and I feel like we need more of that in the future. And there's a bunch of synth parts, which I played most of those, but live we've been trying to get the openers or whoever else is in the crowd to come up and play those so that the songs aren't totally missing it. But other than that, like you said, it is very much an organic approach to who we are, and it felt like hopefully it's like the best live performance you're gonna get, and playing it live it doesn't feel underwhelming. It feels like us, and it feels like the record still.
Well, fantastic. Scenic Route to Alaska. I'm delighted to announce that you're at number 3 on the top 30 this week.
Whoa! Joe! I gotta say, and we said it a million times before, but without the support of CKUA over the last 12 years, we wouldn't be where we are today, especially in the Alberta community. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to CKUA and to everybody who's spinning the record. It means a lot.
Well, thank you for, even after playing through, Randy Bachman and Neil Young's equipment, for not taking off to Winnipeg. So glad to have you as part of the Alberta scene. Major Love is at number 6 this week as well.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
She's crushing it, along with Colleen. So congratulations on the new album. It sounds fantastic. You're playing tonight in Red Deer, is that right?
That is right.
Bo's Bar and Grill.
Love Bo's Bar.
A classic hang. So if you happen to be in Red Deer, you'll catch Scenic Road to Alaska, the number 3 artist of the week. Congratulations again. The whole package is really special. So happy to talk to you and to have you on CKUA. And again, as part of the Alberta community. Thanks, guys, for taking the time.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.